Hey there, I'm the MadCatster. Am I glad to see you here? Well, have you ever heard the expression, don't bite the hand that feeds you? Well, the pink sauce lady, aka Chef P, has not only bitten the hand that feeds her, but she's gnawed it off at the wrist. We're going to talk about the legal implications of some of the nonsense she's been spouting and why what she's saying is probably defamatory towards Dave's Gourmet. And later in the video, we're going to be doing something special. So stay tuned and buckle up and let's go. So today I'm here with Edith, her sister Mary, who is upstairs sleeping. I rescued from the euthanasia list from New York City Animal Control. God, I think it's been 5 years now. I can't believe it. I also want to say a special quick thank you to the Anxious Creator who sent us a thing of cat treats. Thank you so much. You cannot believe how many treats we go through. And this arrived the same day. It did not have a gift receipt in it, but I'm guessing it's probably also from the Anxious Creator. If it's not, please let me know. But we got this beautiful bougie window seat that is quite stylish, as you can see. And the cats love those. I have them in windows around the house, so we really appreciate that. Thank you so much, Anxious Creator. And Sybil came down to join me. So Sybil the Enforcer is here. She says, please like and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. So let's talk about the Pink Sauce Lady, also known as Chef P, also known in real life as Veronica Shaw, who back in the summer of 2022 was all over social media with her creation, the pink sauce, and mostly because it was a shocking bright pink color. It caught the attention of people. It went viral and people were asking about it. And so Chef P decided that she was going to start bottling and selling it. And so, of course, she set up a commercial kitchen. No, I'm kidding. She decided unwisely to manufacture the pink sauce in her kitchen. And without following any of the, of course, guidelines that you should be following and that are required by the FDA. And in fact, she had gone on when someone questioned why she wasn't following FDA guidelines and said, FDA, this isn't a medicine. And it's like, well, of course, the first word in FDA is food. So it applies to her. And she began selling the sauce just the same. But unfortunately, there were no preservatives. It was not refrigerated. And so, of course, we heard horror stories of it arriving looking really disgusting, or packages exploded, so the stuff was all over the place, and basically it was a recipe for disaster. A lot of backlash ensued, and the FDA finally did shut her down, and it looked like that was probably the end of the road for Chef P. Well, in one of those rare instances, Chef P was able to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, because along came Dave's Gourmet, who has a history of making gourmet sauces which are sold in retail stores. And they amazingly made a deal with Chef P to manufacture her pink sauce, to sell it, and then she would get a royalty. And I'm going to talk to you more about the royalty in a few minutes. So it looked like, wow, amazing. Here is this golden opportunity for Chef P to make her dreams come true. She's managed to turn it around. It looked like it was going to be a success for her, and she was on her way. Well, that's not the way it worked out. So the sauce made its debut in Walmart stores across the country, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. There's a lot of people that would kill to get their product into Walmart stores. So Dave got her pink sauce into the stores. People were complaining they thought the price was a little too high, but anyway, months went by and really we didn't see a whole lot of promotion going on for it. Dave's Gourmet kind of was expecting Chef P to keep the virality going by continuing to promote the pink sauce, and so it didn't look like she was doing a whole lot of that. Sales didn't do as well as was expected. The product sales declined, and eventually it went on to clearance, and actually that's how I ended up with a bottle. I got mine for $3.99 last week. I think it was selling for like $15 or something like that around here. I wouldn't have bought it for that for any reason, but I was planning to make this video. So I thought, well, I'll pick it up and we're going to do a little taste test in a few minutes because I haven't even opened it yet. and I made some chicken tenders, so we're going to give it a try. But anyway, so it went on clearance, and so it really was kind of disappointing, I think, all around. And then, all of a sudden, Chef P basically goes on the attack and starts blaming Dave's Gourmet and accusing them of not giving her the money that she was owed, and not paying the royalties correctly and all this other stuff. She even started a GoFundMe to try to raise money to hire an attorney to fight Dave's Gourmet. And she put out a video describing what she claimed were the injustices that were done to her by this company that was seemingly her savior. So Chef P made some pretty outrageous claims. She was claiming, you see here, she said, it says, Pink Sauce founder says she survived on $20 a day after company duped her. And she also said that she was completely broke after being financially sabotaged by Dave's Gourmet. So, of course, Dave's Gourmet was not happy because, in their opinion, they had complied with all of their obligations under the licensing agreement. And basically, this is what they had to say about her comments. They said, we disagree with Ms. Shaw's allegations. Dave's Gourmet has paid Chef P over $120,000 to date and continues to make all payments as due and on time based upon the terms of the contract. They say that the payments began in August 2022 and the latest transaction was August 17th of 2023. Dave's added its statement that is adhered to the terms of the agreement. It's attempting to work with her to mediate the dispute. Dave's said, we honored the agreement. We've paid her what she's owed according to the licensing agreement. And so Chef P, of course, not one to keep silent, has struck back, and she released a video recently, and this is what she had to say.
First of all, I want to acknowledge this $120,000 that they've responded to the blog saying that they paid me. So number one, it wasn't an upfront payment of $120,000.
So she starts off by saying that the $120,000 that Dave's Gourmet mentioned wasn't an upfront payment. Well, that's not what they said. They said to date they had paid her $120,000. So I don't know why she's complaining about that.
And then also a huge chunk of that money went towards me paying for Airbnb and paying for hotels because, mind y'all, I was homeless for 6 months.
Okay, so that part really annoys me because she's saying that a good chunk of $120,000 went towards Airbnb and hotels because she was homeless for 6 months. It's like, you mean to tell me that with all of that money, you couldn't have found a short-term lease arrangement for what should have been far less than that, a fraction of that. And instead, you were, forced to live in hotels and order room service? That sounds a little questionable to me.
Also, going back to my royalty, a lot of people speculating or putting their input in. My royalty is supposed to be paid to me before any expenses. Before any expenses, I'm supposed to be cut my check.
So it sounds like she's saying that they would pay her royalty off the top, off of gross sales versus net sales being after you've deducted all the costs of manufacturing, marketing, shipping, etc. I'm pretty sure that's not the way these agreements work. We're going to take a look at what a typical royalty agreement for this type of arrangement looks like in a couple of minutes.
When I received my royalty for Q1, it was paid to me before any expenses. Now that I'm uncomfortable and they know that I would have been hiring legal help, they make this bogus excuse as to why they're putting expenses on top of my royalty. It does not work like that.
Okay, so she's saying that any expenses that she had were not supposed to come out of her royalty. Well, she's confusing expenses with advances, I think. And that would be true, that expenses would be separate from the royalty. But if you get an advance on your royalties, that's not money you just get to keep. Unless it's a legitimate expense, that's money you're going to have to pay back in the form of deductions from your royalties.
These people defrauded me. So I would have to sue them for fraud because it's not only the calculation of the royalty, but it's everything else that is deteriorating my business and my brand.
And then she goes on to accuse them of fraud and say she's going to have to hire a lawyer to sue them. Well, I would think that that would be antagonistic, and of course, it did irritate Dave further, and we're going to talk about that in a second.
This is an innovative brand. This is an innovative product, which comes with risk, which means that money has to be allocated and put into marketing. The marketing is the company. They did not do that. They're not listening to me. Like, it's so crazy. In freaking October, I was talking about a whole Barbie themed campaign, but it would have been done, but none of that was supported. And I feel like the pink sauce was built through social media. The pink sauce was built fast through social media, and y'all deserve to see those visuals.
Okay, so she's accusing them of not doing any marketing and basically letting the brand fail. And then she goes on to talk about how they didn't listen to her, how she was proposing doing some kind of a Barbie theme in October, I guess to coincide with the Barbie movie. Well, she's saying that they didn't act on that, and I'm guessing it's probably because they were afraid of copyright issues. It's interesting to note that she says this brand was built on social media. Well, yes, and that's where the marketing that she's complaining about should have been done. But Dave's Gourmet can't make TikToks on her behalf. That she's the face of the brand. She's the one who should be out there making TikToks and promoting all over social media, Instagram, wherever, and continuing to build the interest and keep the enthusiasm going. But from what I understand, she really didn't do that. So you can't just blame Dave's for all of the marketing problems when you're the face of the brand and you're the one who's supposed to be promoting this on social media.
Y'all deserve to see a fabulous sauce, and that is not what this is giving. This is giving beige sauce. I created the pink sauce, which is a vibrant, bright colored, beautiful, scrumptious, delicious sauce, and that is not what y'all getting.
So towards the end, she starts talking about how she's in it for the long haul, wants to save her brand, and she talks about the color. And from my understanding, she approved the formulation. And my guess is the color variation is probably because of the dragon fruit that's being used. So, of course, depending on the color of the batch of dragon fruit you have or how much dragon fruit you're using, it's probably going to affect the color. And, you know, as long as they are adhering to the recipe that was agreed by all the parties, then she can't fault them for the color. So, yeah, I mean, I understand she wants it to be like hot pink, but, you know, in order to do that consistently, you would have to artificially color it.
I own 100% of the Pink Sauce LLC. I did not sell my bread. I did not give away my bread. These people just took permission and abused it.
Now, she talks about how she still owns the brand, and I did go, and I'll show you here. I looked, and here's the corporate documents, and it still does look like she is the sole owner, so she didn't sell them the name. She merely licensed it to them. Now, I went to look because I wondered, well, you know, pink sauce must be trademarked. Who's got the trademark? So you'll see here that I did look at the trademark database. There was an application made for a trademark for the pink sauce in June of 2022. However, it was never followed through with, and they considered the application abandoned in July of this year of 2023. So it doesn't look like she has the trademark on pink sauce. So that's kind of surprising to me, because I would think that that would be something she'd want to lock down, because somebody else could come along and just start making something called the pink sauce. And if they trademark it and she doesn't, she might have a problem. So I don't know. Squeaky's here. Stefan, my deaf cat, he's looking for some attention. So, you know, I just find it curious that she hasn't trademarked it. So, of course, now after this video and these continuing allegations of fraud and that they cheated her, basically, Dave's Gourmet made a more complete statement, and we learned some pretty alarming things, and you'll see here. After Dave released their statement, headlines came out saying pink sauce creator accused of lying about not being paid and spending lavishly. So Dave said that in August 2022, Dave's Gourmet signed an agreement with Veronica Shaw, the pink sauce lady, and her entities, Pink Sauce LLC and Flavor Crazy Inc. So apparently she's got two companies, and she and her companies were responsible for promoting pink sauce through the digital content, and Dave's Gourmet was in charge of achieving the required shelf stability for the product. In other words, making a recipe that wouldn't spoil and that could be bottled and would be safe to put out on the shelves. And they were also responsible for making the formula acceptable for commercial production and following the FDA's food production guidelines. They were responsible for production and sales of the pink sauce product online and to retailers. And at the time, Shaw was not producing pink sauce because the FDA instructed her to cease production. So according to the agreement, they said Shaw received an upfront payment of $45,000 as part of the agreement for Dave's Gourmet to pursue sales of the pink sauce. According to the agreement, Ms. Shaw was responsible for all the refunds for the product that predated the agreement. After the agreement was signed, it turned out that neither Shaw nor her companies had enough funds to cover the refunds to people who never received the product that she was responsible for, according to the agreement. So in other words, she didn't have any money to refund to people who she had sold direct to before she got involved with Dave's Gourmet. And so clearly she spent all that money. And they say here that they believe that Shaw was fully aware that there were not enough funds to cover the refunds. There was a hold put by Shopify and PayPal on most of the cash in her accounts due to multiple customer complaints. And even the cash that was there was mostly not available to pay refunds. Dave's Gourmet couldn't see the customers disappointed with no product and no refund, so it provided approximately $30,000 to cover the refunds, even though this was Shaw's responsibility. Some of these funds came back to Dave's Gourmet after the hold on Shaw's account was lifted by PayPal and Shopify, but it sounds like they're saying she knew she didn't have enough money when she agreed to pay the refunds when she signed the agreement, so they basically had to cover her butt. And so it says, they reviewed and negotiated the contract with the help from Chef P's attorney. So she had an attorney, clearly, from what they're saying, to review the agreement with her. So I'm not going to buy any of her talk about how she was taken advantage of or how they were ripping her off, because she had an attorney to explain this to her. If she had questions, that was the time to ask them. So she receives royalties that depend on the sales of pink sauce, of course. And also there's a milestone payment if certain goals are met. It sounds like that the royalty is tied to what the sales figures are, so how well sales are doing. Then they also say there's a milestone payment, which means if sales exceed like a certain amount, then she probably gets some kind of a bonus amount. And they say that all payments have been communicated and paid on time in accordance with the agreement. Dave's Gourmet also advised Veronica that the royalties should not be her only source of income, as they can fluctuate, of course, depending on sales. That's her responsibility, not to blow through the money, and make sure she's got some kind of a second income to help while this product is it's a new product getting off the ground. You can't expect that it's just going to go out there and all of a sudden you're going to be flushing cash all the time. Skipping ahead here, in the fall of 2022, Shaw was struggling financially, so Dave's Gourmet wanted to be helpful, and over the course of several months provided her with multiple cash advances. Now, cash advances totaling more than $40,000 without charging her interest and fees. These were supposed to be offset by the future royalties she was going to earn. So, of course, you can't expect that was free money unless it's an expense directly related to the marketing or the production of the product. That's money that they gave you to pay your living expenses. So it's got to come out of your royalties because it's just basically a loan. But they're saying, as a courtesy, they didn't charge her any kind of interest or fees, which I think is pretty generous. Now, this is where it gets kind of sketchy to me, okay? And it starts to make me really lose any sympathy for Chef P. It says, in March 2023, Shaw communicated that she had spent the entirety of her previous advances. So between the fall of 2022 and March of 2023, so what is that? Maybe less than 6 months, right? She blew through 40 grand? In March 2023, she communicated she had spent the entirety of the previous advances and she needed another advance to feed her children, so she's playing on their sympathy, and to avoid being evicted. Dave sent her 2 additional advances that totaled $5,000, but again encouraged her to continue working her other job and pursue her private chef career. Shaw wanted to know more about activities related to the pink sauce at Dave's Gourmet in the beginning of 2022. No, this is not right. It says in the beginning of 2022, but it's got to be 2023. The Dave's Gourmet team set up a weekly standing meeting to discuss brand strategy to support and collaborate with her. Shaw attended only a couple of these meetings, has not been in attendance since. So, oh God, it's like you got this opportunity to salvage your business and you've given a golden ticket basically to get your product into Walmart. That's a big deal. And yet you're not even attending the product strategy meetings? It says in February 2023, Veronica requested over $10,000 in marketing expenses to throw herself a birthday party. So she doesn't have money to feed her kids, but she wants to throw a $10,000 birthday party, and she's pissed through 40 grand already. She also provided a request to Dave's Gourmet to pay for her dress that cost more than $800 and shoes which cost over $600 that would potentially be used in a TikTok video. Dave's Gourmet suggested a smaller budget, and because Dave's Gourmet would not approve these expenses, Shaw refused to collaborate or contribute to marketing efforts alongside Dave's Gourmet moving forward. So, she clearly, allegedly, according to their version of events, she's taking advantage of them. She's clearly not managing her money. She's clearly, allegedly, splashing out and trying to live the high life, all while this product is trying to get off the ground and is struggling, and she's not making, allegedly, any contribution towards promoting it. That's a recipe for failure right there. It says in February 2023, Shaw attempted to submit business expense reports for personal expenses like buying 4 pairs of sneakers or expensing her grocery bills. Now, those aren't legitimate business expenses directly related to the marketing of the product. And it says Dave's Gourmet informed her that such activities are fraudulent and asked a lot of questions related to receipts that she had submitted. It says Shaw did not respond to any of those questions. So, again, no sympathy. May 2023, due to the large advances on her royalty payment, the balance of her Q1 royalties owed came to $666.86. So, basically, offsetting advances that she got, it only left her with a net of $666.68. Now, Dave's, which to me, they sound like a really stand-up company, they said that they decided to hold off deducting the $10,000 from the royalties until a later period so that she had more funds to cover her needs at that time, and it said they paid her the full $10,666.68. And the balance in all payments processed were outlined and communicated to her consistently. It says that they deducted the above-mentioned advances in the second quarter royalty payment, which I'm sure annoyed her. And in June 2023, she submitted an expense report that included a request for payment for her time dedicated to making social media content. Such request was outside of the terms of the agreement. Dave's Gourmet asked for clarification related to the expenses listed, but backup receipt and explanations were not provided. So it's not clear to me whether she's asking, it sounds like just for all of her time spent making content, she wanted them to give her money. Because it doesn't say that, oh, she was making videos promoting the sauce, which would be a legitimate business expense. So they, of course, questioned it because it sounds to me like, from what they're saying, she allegedly was submitting requests for things that definitely were not business related and would not be appropriate for them to reimburse her. It says that she had certain contractual obligations, and this is where they could actually sue her for breach of contract. Not only that, but for her bad-mouthing them, I would think they might have some legitimate argument, although, with defamation, it's always kind of crapshoot. But definitely, if she wasn't living up to her end of the bargain and promoting the product the way she was supposed to, that's a breach of her contract with them. After Shaw went to social media to create the illusion that she was not being compensated properly, Dave's Gourmet communicated both Shaw and her attorney that they would cover the cost of her legal counsel to go through the provisions of the agreement and the payments that had been made to explain that the payments were correct and that they were following the agreement. She rejected that. So, again, No sympathy. So they're saying, look at, okay, you're saying that you don't believe that we have paid you what you were owed. So we will cover the cost for you to have somebody independently review the agreement, review the receipts and the royalty payments to make sure everything is in line with what the parties agreed. And she turned them down. So, this really, her credibility is kind of out the window for me. I don't know what the next step in this is going to be, because it looks to me like the pink sauce is not on a good path right now. And I suspect that these two are going to part company very shortly. And I don't know what she'll do. I don't know how she thinks that she's then going to independently make a success of this, because I would seriously doubt that she's got all the resources she'll need to begin producing this. She's going to need a commercial facility. She's going to need bottling, labeling, shipping. I just don't see it. And I think that, like I said, she's got this golden opportunity that she's blown. Now, I'm going to show you here a typical royalty agreement for this type of situation. But I'm only going to show you like the small part that I think is relevant to this particular situation. And you'll see what usually the terms are, because we don't have a copy of her agreement. So this is what it would look like. So you'll see here under license and ownership that in this situation, it says that the company retains ownership of the recipes and concepts, but grants to the other company the exclusive right to use the recipes and concepts for the sole purpose of manufacturing the product for sale to customers. Okay, so that's probably similar to what she had. So Chef P retains the ownership of the formula and the name, etc., but she's licensing to Dave's Gourmet to produce it and sell it to customers. Okay. Then in terms of like royalties, you can see here, it says compensation royalties. For the use of the recipes and concepts, the company will pay to the owner of the brand royalty as follows. So here you're seeing an initial payment, which is something she got. It goes from the initial $300,000 from the start of term. There's a 2% royalty, and any sales above that, it's a 1% royalty. So I don't know what their arrangement was, but so you can see, depending on the volume, the royalty amount changes. It says the royalties shall be computed on a calendar quarter basis, which sounds like is the same here, based upon the monthly net sales during the quarter. For each calendar quarter in which product has been sold, the royalties shall be paid within 30 days after the end of the quarter. So, I'm guessing it's a very similar agreement, and I would be very surprised if a company like Dave's was cheating her out of royalties. My guess is, and from what we've seen on the fact that this is on clearance now and looks like it's on its way out of Walmart, that the sales just haven't been good. So once you took out her advances, she wasn't left with very much. So I don't think that they've cheated her. I just think that she didn't earn very much royalty because this arrangement was failing. And it doesn't sound to me like she, according to what they're saying, allegedly that she didn't make her best efforts to promote the product. And it sounds like Dave's got pretty frustrated because she stopped participating. And so, that's it. That's a death knell for this venture. And I have no sympathy. I'm sorry. Back when she first started this and she was having a problem and she made mistakes, I thought to myself, well, it's not good that you're sending out stuff that could potentially poison people. But you're new to this. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You didn't know. You see, what your mistakes are. Fix the mistakes and try to go forward. And so I had a little bit of sympathy for her then, and I gave her a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Now that's changed. Based on what I've heard, I don't give her any more sympathy, because I think that she has squandered this opportunity, and that's all I'm going to say. So now, as I promised, we are going to taste. This is the Dave's, the new. I wouldn't be doing it if it was the old formula, the Dave's Gourmet formula. So I'm going to get my chicken tenders, and we are going to see what this final version of the pink sauce from Dave's Gourmet tastes like. Okay, now doing this, there's one caveat. I've got Insane Cat here, my deaf cat Stefan, who wants this. So I'm going to give it to him, and hopefully he usually will pick the food up and run away with it because he doesn't want the other cats to take it from him. Here, you can have that one. And you can have that one, Mary. Mary's sitting here too. So everybody's got a little piece. So hopefully they'll leave me alone for a few minutes. Yep, there he goes. He took it. Okay, so Mary's interested. So let's open this up before this. All right, here we go. All right, so I've got my chicken tenders that I made in advance, and we're going to pour the pink sauce. Okay, wow, it's really runny. All right, I've got my chicken tender. Not gonna lie, it's pretty good. Yeah. I don't know how it differs from the original version. I can't imagine there's a whole lot of difference. But it's very spicy. Well, not very spicy. There's a little bit of a kick to it. It is kind of tangy. Yeah, it's pretty good. So my verdict, yeah, it's pretty good. I liked the little bit of a kick at the end. So I didn't know what to expect. But yeah, it's pretty good. So there you go. So that's my first mukbang. If you could call 1.5 chicken tenders a mukbang. But anyways, so that's where we stand with the pink sauce. I want to thank you guys so much for all of you who are new. Welcome aboard, and thank you so much for coming on board. Cedric, thank you so much to our Patreon patrons. We've gained new Patreon patrons, and I'm so grateful, you guys, for your help. That money all goes towards the cat's monthly vet bill for the 13 rescue cats that I have. And thank you so much to our channel members. Really, really appreciate you as well. I hope you guys are having a spooky October. We're heading towards Halloween and then unfortunately towards winter. But I hope you guys are doing well. Love one another. Take care of yourselves. And I will see you in the next one.
Pretty please. Subscribe, like, and hit the bell. I get a treat for every new sub. Thank you.